Welcome, and thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation.
Every year, millions of massive steel containers move from coastal ports deep into the North American interior, moving trillions of dollars in global trade. But unlike the highly fragmented trucking industry, this transcontinental flow operates under tight constraints. Shippers are dealing with a strict duopoly: Canadian National, often known as CN, and CPKC. Deciding which of these two carriers hauls your freight determines your bottom line. Pick the wrong route for your specific timeline, and you incur contractual fines, miss tight vessel cutoffs, and wipe out your profit margin. This map shows how rigid the choices really are. CN operates a sprawling three-coast arc, touching the Atlantic, Pacific, and the Gulf of Mexico. CPKC runs a highly direct southern corridor straight across the continent. Both of these paths share one common environmental threat: the deep Canadian winter. Sub-zero temperatures and buried rail yards routinely choke the supply chain, turning transit times into guesswork. This creates what logistics managers call the duopoly dilemma. Shippers have to weigh premium transit speed on one lane against aggressive pricing advantages on another. Winning the Canadian rail game requires shippers to prioritize the physical map over corporate branding to protect their profit margins. The biggest variable in this map is the Rocky Mountains. This massive wall of rock splits the two networks apart, forcing entirely different operational realities. This elevation profile highlights the difference. On the left, CN's path cuts through the Yellowhead Pass. It features gentle gradients, avoiding extreme elevation spikes. Because the terrain is flatter, CN can physically build their trains longer and heavier. This maintains a higher average velocity across the network, routinely shaving 18 to 24 hours off a coast-to-coast trip. Meanwhile, CPKC's southern route forces its locomotives to punch straight through Kicking Horse and Rogers Pass. Look closely at these tight mountain curves. A double-stacked train dragging heavy freight up these grades encounters immense physical resistance, slowing down the line. That physical resistance translates directly into operational friction. It introduces wider standard deviations into a shipper's on-time delivery metrics. Ancient geological realities, not locomotive horsepower, physically dictate the maximum velocity of North American supply chains. Because CN reliably delivers a day faster on the dominant east-west lane, they command a premium rate. They enforce this with strict demurrage and detention rules, charging aggressively if containers sit idle. This pricing matrix illustrates how CPKC fights back. To compensate for the topographical friction in the Rockies, they compete aggressively on rates, offering deep discounts and contract flexibility to win volume. This strategy is rooted in the historical footprint of CP Rail, which built its network to prioritize southern prairie hubs like Calgary and Regina. This map shows how they leveraged that footprint into a massive cross-border advantage. CPKC operates a unique USMCA corridor, offering single-line service from the Canadian prairies straight through Texas and down into Mexican industrial hubs. Locomotives bearing Kansas City Southern de Mexico paint run continuously on this line. For shippers, cross-border freight bypasses costly Class I railroad interchanges entirely. CN counters with its own strategic trump card on the Pacific coast. Their exclusive terminal at Prince Rupert provides direct on-dock rail, completely sidestepping the congestion of Vancouver for Asian imports. What begins as a topographical rivalry over a mountain pass scales up into a continent-wide battle, with each carrier offering highly specific lane-by-lane advantages. With vastly different operational realities on either line, managing thousands of containers across dense urban distribution hubs requires serious precision. Expert logistics managers handle this through a playbook called tiered routing. They strictly segment their cargo based on how fast it needs to arrive and how much safety stock they hold in reserve. This matrix shows the breakdown. Tier 1 cargo, like just-in-time manufacturing parts or tight window promotional stock, is awarded strictly to CN to keep on-time delivery deviations as small as possible. Meanwhile, Tier 2 replenishment freight is routed to CPKC. The shipper absorbs the extra 24-hour buffer in their safety stock, capturing anywhere from 5 to 15% in line call savings. The destination city also dictates the route. If your distribution hub sits in Edmonton, CN naturally prioritizes your network flow. If you distribute out of Calgary or Regina, CPKC offers superior local agility. And if your freight originates in Asia, routing it straight through CN's Prince Rupert Gateway shaves 2 to 3 sailing days off your ocean transit. Supply chain efficiency is achieved by matching the urgency of your cargo directly to the physical topography of the rail line. Sustaining the rhythmic flow of a global economy depends on a total convergence of linehaul speed and defensive logistics strategy. Once your annual freight volume crosses the 500 load threshold, relying on a single carrier becomes an operational liability. You have to start dual sourcing. This graphic demonstrates a standard contractual hedge. A logistics team splits their total volume, often aiming for a 70-30 or 60-40 allocation between CN and CPKC. The primary reason for this split is basic survival. When a severe freeze or an avalanche shuts down a pass in the Rockies, having an active account elsewhere keeps your products moving. Splitting volume also provides a financial shield. Sourcing from both networks gives shippers vital leverage when pushing back against annual general rate increases. Executing this strategy demands strict discipline. Managing chassis availability and tracking containers across 2 entirely different terminal ecosystems adds immense complexity to daily operations. In the Canadian rail market, the mountains and the plains dictate the physical constraints. Building a resilient supply chain comes down to mastering those topographical realities, understanding the pricing structures of the duopoly, and executing a disciplined strategy to keep your freight moving.